And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 6 p.m. edition of the Pete Santilli Show. Deb Jordan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Pete?
Good.
Good.
Perfect timing. And
Yes.
I want to be very respectful of her time. Of course, the real American J6 housewife. Not to make light of the situation. She's doing very serious work, but she is a J6 housewife and a victim of the full force of the government. She joins us right now from the courthouse live for her evening update. Nicole Reffitt, let's go to you. And if you don't mind, when we come back, I may have some questions for you. I'm going to go right to you, and I'm going to record this for our update right now. Welcome, Nicole Reffitt, to the evening show. Perfect timing. We're broadcasting live.
Okay. Hey, you guys. Nicole Reffitt, Real Housewife of Jan 6 here, just being a court watcher, trying to see what the government's trying to get away with. And it is a lot, let me tell you. Covering the Proud Boys trial, you're not going to want to miss any of this. I encourage everyone to text TOTC to 844-837-9924. We will be giving text updates for breaking news, because breaking news will happen in this case. We haven't even gotten to opening arguments. I've said that hopefully tomorrow afternoon now. We may get there. So many issues have arisen today, and a lot of drama and a lot of shenanigans on the government's part, as we have all expected. They did try to push Roger Roots out. That's not going to happen. The judge is allowing so far for Roger to stay. That could change later. We'll see. But the bigger issue is dealing with Joe Biggs and both of his attorneys, Norm Pattis and Dan Hull, both represent Joe Biggs. Dan Hull has some what they call professional misconduct, but really it's just conflicting issues. He had at one time taken a phone call for Bertino, who is testifying. He also testified in front of the Jan 6 committee. So there's conflict of interest there. And the government wants Hull gone, but they can't really get Hull gone because Pattis isn't, that is still up in the air. Norm Pattis believes that Judge Kelly can rule on whether he can continue practicing and being Joe Biggs' attorney, according to the way he read the law. So Judge Kelly is going to go over that tonight, although the friction between Dan Hull and Norm Pattis is great. And it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Big's life is on the line. So we just hope that they get that worked out. Another thing earlier that I wanted to bring up is there is an issue of all these FBI confidential informants. I do know that when I covered, or I was a court watcher during Oath Keepers Point 1, it was very, there was a confidential informant per Oath Keeper. And it's even greater here with the Proud Boys. And I was shocked to learn how many confidential informants the Oath Keepers have. I believe that Nick Smith said today that he has subpoenaed 6 to 7 confidential informants, FBI informants. That is significant in the government's ploy and of how they just want to bring the American people down. Also the judge, they're still arguing on whether the FBI agents are allowed in opening statements. The government wants to say that it is a reward for the culmination of their work. Give me a break. That's no reward to sit there and listen to them drone on like that. He wants them in there for optics. He wants the jury to see the FBI agents sitting in those front pews behind, the prosecution table. A lot of this is just smoke and mirrors because they don't really have a lot. And the government is going to push as hard as they can to get this seditious conspiracy charge. So hopefully tomorrow we will get, the jury sworn in, and we will get to opening arguments. There's some issues with some of the wives that want to be there during opening arguments, but they're on the witness list also. So a lot of the, behind the scenes is that the lawyers are maneuvering and trying to get, these people in to where they can be there for their spouses. But the concession is that the FBI will be in the room too. Just a lot of drama with this case, because that's really all that the government has is drama. They don't have real facts about what really happened that day. So no one's going to want to miss this. You're going to want to text TOTC to 844-837-9924. And this is Nicole Ruffin. I'm just a real housewife of Jan 6 and, trying to make sure the truth gets out to the American people.
Outstanding. And I'm going to jump in. I don't know if we'll make this part of the recording. We'll cut this out because, Nicole, we appreciate your updates that you're doing. And I appreciate, really, you take a professional approach to things that we know as the trial progresses, and it hasn't even begun yet. So the fireworks have not even started yet. But let's, if you don't mind, can I read between the lines and have you comment on this?
Yeah, sure.
So was Norm Pattis in the courtroom?
He was in the courtroom.
Okay. And was he having to present his case to the judge to remain and basically have the judge resolve the emergency motion that was filed on Sunday?
Right. Judge Kelly had said earlier in the week that he had no power over whether to reinstate that or not for Pattis. There is a hearing tomorrow in Connecticut in regards to Norm Pattis's his bar license status. So we'll know that tomorrow. But the way that Norm explained it to the judge and the way that his argument went was that he understood, by his understanding, that Judge Kelly could rule on that. And Judge Kelly is going to look that over, the point that Norm brought up today.
Okay, so and what that means for our listening audience, that they use the term discretion, that the judge can use discretion and say, well, we got a circumstance here that the one state in the United States, and this is the fact, Connecticut is the only state that can suspend an attorney and all their clients are impacted by it for 6 months without any due process, which we saw the due process violations with Alex Jones. And this is just a continuation of that. But what this impacts is that when an attorney who's licensed in Connecticut and in D.C., which is Norm Pattis, D.C. has a reciprocal, basically a reciprocal punishment saying you're suspended in Connecticut. We're going to have to suspend you, the judge is saying, in D.C.
Right.
So, so did Norm Pattis say, I've appealed to the judge to say, we're going to be appealing this. I deserve due process. And by your ruling, if you put a stay on this, I have a major trial going on right now. We have a defendant whose constitutional rights are going to be impacted. He's got a Sixth Amendment right, of course, to select his counsel. But this is going to have a direct impact on Joe Biggs, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. The trial, essentially, opening statements are tomorrow. He is in limbo now with both of his lawyers. But what Judge Kelly did say is that he did not want to remove Pattis from the case right now, because if it does not work out with Hull. So they didn't discuss a lot on that, but he did not allow Pattis to remove himself from the case.
Okay.
And
good sign.
That's good. Deb, did you have a question?
No, I said that's a good sign.
Yes.
Right. That he would even consider it again for not allowing Mr. Pattis to remove himself, tells me that Judge Kelly knows the significance of what this would mean for the trial. And, for example, Edward Nordine, Ethan Nordine, sorry, he had filed that he would not accept a continuance at all. I think the wording in the actual motion was nothing short and up to a zombie apocalypse would accept a continuance. So, and that is the feeling of almost all of the defendants, I believe.
Yeah. Now, here's another thing, and I want to see this from these attorneys. And I know that Roger Roots, he will do everything to litigate this, make his point. But they need to every single day say this is exactly why you need to release these defendants so that they can defend themselves. They have set up these circumstances so to prevent any human being from ever being able to defend themselves. They need to meet with their attorneys. They can't. They need to speak to them privately because attorney-client communications is privileged. Well, the government's listening in. And the government knows how powerful Norm Pattis and Roger Roots are in that courtroom. They are the lead attorneys, period. How do I know this? I know this. I do know this. You know this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're the lead
And,
attorneys.
they fight the government all the time. They believe in what they're doing, and you can see it in the courtroom. And Roger Roots, he's the only lawyer in there that has actually defeated the federal government on very similar things.
Yes.
So he has a background in that. They tried really hard to get him off the case today. The government is really playing all these games to where it looks on the surface that it is legit, but in reality they're screwing over the defense team, and they know it. With the global discovery drops, all of these little issues being brought up, with conflicts, as they like to call it professional misconduct, but it really is just a conflict. But with the amount of Jan 6 cases that are generated from this government, and it's so hard to get a lawyer to pick up these cases, of course you're going to have some conflicts of interest. And if the government gets this set in precedent, if there's a lawyer that's on the defense team that they decide they don't like, they can just add someone to their witness list and then say that it's a conflict of interest. Yeah. It's just
right.
A game.
Okay. Nicole, one final thing. I know you're off to the vigil. Very, very busy, and, I really want to say this sincerely, and I hope you take it as sincere when I say thank you. I can't be there. I would. I know Deb would. Deb was with me for 619 days. She literally uprooted her life as you are, and she was there for all the defendants. She sat in the trials of, the other defendants. So I want to thank you for your service to our country and these patriots. I know it means a lot to them. Final commentary here before we let you go. No, 2 comments. By the way, this one is for the government, and you know how I am. I talk indirectly to them. Let me just say, you can have your FBI agent over there on the back rail. Joel P. Willis, senior special agent in charge, was there as well, and he was basically removed from the case for misconduct, for withholding exculpatory evidence. So bring your FBI agent. As a matter of fact, bring a Bearcat. Bring an MRAP and have HRT team members. They're going to be escorted out.
And they did the same thing too, by the way. I mean, in the Bundy trial, it was, they came in, they sat in the front row closest to the jurors. Yeah. Of course.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, they all took the witness stand and just, it was just horrifying. But we beat them.
It's virtue signaling. You're going to see, and I did say this to Metro PD. They've already done it. They did it in our trial. They're going to dress up their agents in their uniforms. They dressed up the federal agents at the Bureau of Land Management, like Smokey the Bear. And they had a woman get up there, and she cried about. And when the defense got on, they put a picture up on the screen
of what she looked like the night.
She looked like she was going to Fallujah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
And she was.
You're crying. You don't look like you're scared here. She was like, yeah, like this.
Oh, yeah.
Guns. Oh, yeah.
She was.
There's a very different picture. So it's all smoke and mirrors. That's right.
That's all it is.
It's going to be gut-wrenching to hear it during the prosecution because the prosecution has a narrative.
Well, you've already sat through the Oath Keepers trial, so you know that the Capitol Police will one by one get on the stand and cry and literally, and they will say, I prayed and I had to call my wife and tell her I didn't know if I was going to make it home tonight. How do I know? I didn't even watch that because we can't see that happening in the trial. But guess what? I bet you that you could tell me right now that that's exactly what they did. one after
they-
the other. They did it.
Yeah.
They
They
did.
did. They played the heartstrings to that jury. I'm not sure if I can get over that day.
Mhm.
My family was so worried. I thought I was going to die. The tears.
Mhm.
It just goes on and on. Injuries that someone didn't even cause them.
Yes.
Yeah.
The emotional
career-
trauma. Yeah.
Yeah.
The emotional trauma. And they're still seeking counseling for their.
Oh yeah.
And that's why I said yesterday, as uncomfortable it was, because you have to have a relationship with them. You gotta live with them. They're there on the ground with you, and I understand that. But the bottom line is, you know what? If you're in law enforcement, you actually love to have a riot. That's what you're there for, is for those moments in time. And if you're going to start crying when the riot comes, you might as well turn your badge and gun in. And
Mhm.
I am so shocked at the weakness of these cops.
It's okay.
KHDN on AM radio in Hard, Montana.
She stopped herself.
Yes,
She
good.
did-
Sorry.
Yes,
They are-
no, you're right. Perfectly appropriate F-bomb. Yes.
Such crybabies.
Yes.
Well, I was watching a clip today of Fanon, the biggest crybaby of them all. He tries to act like a badass, and then he's a big crybaby at this, all the same, right?
Yeah, we're going to call him Fanana.
I was watching a clip of him actually when he was in the crowd, and I saw that there were some people, young boys, all dressed in black, all masked up, right, reaching for him, and he was caught in this mosh pit. But then you know what else I saw? I saw other people coming to his rescue
Helping
and getting him out of that crowd.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing he never talks about.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk about the people who came and rescued him and what great patriots they were. You know what I'm saying? He never talks. He just talks about, he was attacked that day and he was called all kinds of names and, he thought he was going to die, but he doesn't talk about the men who were grabbing a hold of the people who were taking swings at him at Fanon, and he never talks about that. See, so I hope that these attorneys have enough wherewithal to bring that out in court and actually talk about that too. And that the people who actually were all in black and all masked up, right? I don't think that, were they ever brought to any kind of punishment? I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Brad Geyer, who was the attorney for Ken Harrelson in the Oath Keepers trial, and he's also Big O Barnett's attorney right now. He brought out and circled person after person in the Oath Keepers trial that were instigators, that were asking for pipes, that were asking for things to be brought up front. And you can see them asking and signaling for those things. And where are those people? That's what he kept saying. You have these people on trial who committed no violence, but all these people around them are committing violence. Where are these people?
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't they?
Yeah. All right. Now, ladies, if you could just step aside, you've girled this segment up just a little bit too much. Let me sprinkle
No,
some
we haven't.
testosterone around the room. Speaking of testosterone, how do the guys look physically? How do they look
Good
physically?
question.
Oh, they look really good. These are very confident men and very strong. And they know what they did that day, and they feel very sure about where they're going with this trial. And I'm happy to see them confident because it's super scary. Their family members are very confident. You may see in the hallway that it's hard. And there's tears, but
It's awful. Yeah.
it's a strong bunch of people, and they know exactly why they're there.
Yeah, I the first I'll never forget. As a matter of fact, I need to tell this story, and everybody needs to hear this. Okay, the first time I saw Deb Jordan through the bulletproof glass. Remember that visit out there to what was it, Inverness or wherever it was?
No, it was downtown Portland, in the jail.
And what was my reaction to that?
You physically broke down. Physically.
I did. Because,
I mean, he had been holding on for days because we thought that they were going to let him go. But within 72 hours was the usual that they kept someone.
Yeah.
And then we found out, then we went to his trial, his release hearing, and we found out that that was not going to happen. And it was shocking. So it was like 4 or 5 days before I was able to go in and see him. And I understand that with these guys, their families, for a good part of them, have not been allowed to go in and visit.
Allowed to see them. And you know why I broke
I can't
down?
imagine.
Nicole, you've been through this. I mean, you are really. It's not like a play on some sitcom. You are a real J6 housewife. And you know why I broke down? Not because I was on the inside, but because I was the provider for Deb Jordan on the outside.
Pretty scary.
And the full force of the government came upon us, and guess what they did? They not only destroyed that, they took me away from her. Our dogs were left out there. And you know what they did out in Oregon? We live in Cincinnati. They called, because I had a rental vehicle that I drove out there with. We're not going to drive that far. We put it on a Tahoe that we rented for the business trip. And they called and reported it stolen and had it taken from Deb.
Mm-hmm.
Of course they did.
That's how they are. So that
they
was
said,
a very
you're not going to get in trouble. The rental company called me and says, the police are going to come. They're going to take the vehicle. Mm. You're not going to get in trouble, but the FBI has called us.
Yes.
They specifically said it was the FBI has called us and said that you are an unauthorized person and you're driving that vehicle. And so they told us that we should, to get it back, that we should call it in as stolen. And they did.
And please,
it was horrifying.
We've done a 21-minute update, ladies and gentlemen. You get an update here. Again, we know what information is going to come. It's just a matter of time. We keep telling the government that. But we need to let you know that Nicole's going to be there. We don't have cameras. She's essentially the human equivalent of a camera, eyes and ears for we the people.
Yep.
And she's going to report, come out of the courtroom, text TOTC to 844-837-9924, because when Nicole comes out and she drops, what we know is going to be coming eventually, right, as the trial proceeds, we will notify you. You'll want to tune into it. So, Nicole, thank you. Thank you very much for everything that you're doing. One final comment, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to tell you, they want to remove, no disrespect to Dan Hull, he would be the only remaining one. They're trying to take him out as well. But removing Norm Pattis and removing, now I know this Carmen girl, she's doing a good job, but the remaining balance of them to weaken.
Carmen Hernandez,
is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Carmen Hernandez is doing a good job. But ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, why do they take out Norm Pattis and why do they take out Roger Roots? Because that's the strength of the team, and they're just plucking away one by one. To do what?
Yep.
To give these guys zero opportunity for a fair trial. But I say that they're going to lose. And I want one final comment. Do me a favor, get a message to these guys. You know what we used to do in the courtroom? We'd grab the microphone in the courtroom, and we'd say in unison, resistance to tyranny is obedience to God.
Okay. We'll try to remember that.
Resistance to tyranny is obedience to God. Thank you.
But don't do it when the jury's in.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, we'll try not to.
That's
right.
That's terrorism.
Don't do it when the jury's in.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. Go to the vigil and be sure to tell the guys resistance to tyranny is obedience to God. You guys bullhorn them. Do they hear you?
Okay, we will try. Resistance to tyranny is obedience to God.
That's
got
right.
this.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Nicole.
Bye now.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Great update. And it came right at the top of the show. And I welcome you to this 6 p.m. edition. It's now 6:25. You got, you got more bang for your buck.
These updates are so important.
These updates are going to be so critical.
And a lot of people are picking them up. So that's good, and writing about them. So that's amazing. And it's a good thing, Pete, that you've been persistent from the very beginning. That we need court reporters, court watchers inside the courtroom.
Yes, that's where I got it from. You were on a family chat, Pete, and that was something that stuck with me. And when I went to trial with Guy, I knew that that is exactly what was needed.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
It really is
great. I didn't even know that. I didn't know that
Yeah,
you were in the family chat. But have I practiced? Well, with the exception of the drama that took place with some of that crap, I had to kind of back away. But I still remained in the background trying to do whatever I could to help the legal team and get some evidence, and it's going to come out in the Proud Boys trial.
It's gonna happen.
But have I? And I say this not because I need accolades, but what I was saying in the beginning, it was like new to you. But have I not stuck in the game here? And do you believe that it's important to have this stuff?
It did. It heavily influenced. I knew optics was a big deal, especially after going through Guy's trial and what all that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I took it to heart.
Yeah. Yes, and
Thanks.
Nicole, I'm not going to promise anything, of course, but I want you to hold hope in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Your family is impacted, like we discussed. Can you imagine if President Trump comes in and your husband is pardoned? And don't think that it can't happen, because guess what? His name is Todd Engel, right? We didn't think he was supposed to be in jail for 16 years.
Yep.
And he walked out the back door.
Took him 5 years. But he beat him, and they had to apologize, and he's got a lawsuit now, and let me tell you,
will you tell
he
Guy?
He had his day of reckoning.
Tell Guy for me personally, will you? Will you do this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tell him. I have sympathy for him. He's got, he's like one of the chosen. And you're one of the chosen. There's few people that can go through this with strength. Recognize that and embrace it, and tell him to just stay strong. And I thank him for our service to our country by doing that. Thank you. All right?
Yeah, I will. And I appreciate you guys. I do have to run now. So
Yep,
I love you guys.
Yep,
See you.
bye. By the way,
you
you don't ever have to stay. You can just say, I got to go. Bye. Yeah.